The Vase's secret. Michael's resolution. Michael's confrontation with Dr. Vasquez about his Vase's history presents the ultimate challenge to his scientific worldview. What happens when a respected expert confirms your irrational fears might have historical precedent? The decorated brass vessel sitting innocently in his home suddenly carried the weight of centuries of cultural belief and specific ritual purpose he couldn't easily dismiss. Dr. Vasquez's detailed explanation went beyond general superstition. She identified the vase as belonging to a specialized category of ceremonial objects created during a desperate time in northern Italian history. According to her research, these vessels served a specific cultural function tied directly to community trauma and collective attempts to control misfortune. This pattern of markings, Dr. Vasquez explained, pointing to specific engravings Michael had initially admired for their craftsmanship, indicates this vase wasn't created as a standard decorative piece. The arrangement of symbols suggests it was crafted as what locals called a grief vessel, specifically designed to contain and redirect misfortune away from a household. Her analysis revealed that the vase originated from a period when the village was experiencing catastrophic losses from disease outbreaks. The community's response was an organized attempt to create physical repositories for suffering, literal vessels meant to absorb and contain the misfortune plaguing families. Michael found himself at a crossroads that many educated individuals face when confronted with evidence challenging their rational framework. Despite his engineering background and commitment to scientific principles, the specific historical context provided by Dr. Vasquez couldn't be easily dismissed. The vase was intentionally created to serve as a container for misfortune, designed with specific ritual parameters for that exact purpose. This knowledge transformed Michael's relationship with the object. What had been an aesthetic piece became something with deliberate function and cultural significance that transcended his initial understanding. The coincidental timing of his troubles after acquiring the vase took on new meaning when viewed through the lens of its original purpose. What made Michael's case compelling was his methodical approach to testing this new information. Rather than disposing of the vase in panic, he designed a controlled experiment to evaluate its potential influence. He documented his daily experiences during a month with the vase present, then compared them with a month when the vase was secured in a climate-controlled storage unit. "I'm not saying I believe in curses," Michael explained, "but I needed to establish whether there was any pattern worth considering. If nothing changed during the vase's absence, I could reasonably dismiss Dr. Vasquez's historical context as interesting but irrelevant to my situation." The results shattered his skepticism. While some minor inconveniences continued during the vase's absence, the frequency and severity of unusual incidents plummeted. His insomnia, which had left him perpetually exhausted, vanished almost overnight. The financial setbacks that had been draining his accounts like a punctured water balloon slowed to a manageable trickle. His life, which had felt like navigating a storm in a paper boat, suddenly stabilized on calmer waters. When Michael retrieved the vase after a month, he implemented one final test, following the specific ritual containment methods Dr. Vasquez had described from historical records. These included positioning the vase in a specific orientation relative to the home's entrance, using particular materials to seal its opening, and maintaining certain environmental conditions around it. The ritual specifications were surprisingly precise, Michael noted. They weren't vague spiritual instructions but detailed protocols for containing the vase's influence, almost like an early attempt at hazardous material handling procedures. Following these protocols, Michael observed another period of stability. The contrast between his experiences before implementing these measures and after left him deeply conflicted, his scientific training wrestling with undeniable patterns he had witnessed firsthand. This combination of historical context and personal experience led Michael to a nuanced resolution. He decided to donate the vase to a university collection specializing in culturally significant artifacts, but with specific documentation about its history and the proper storage protocols described in Dr. Vasquez's research. The university curators were fascinated by the combination of the vase's artistic elements and its cultural significance as a grief vessel, Michael explained. What really surprised me was their familiarity with the proper handling protocols for such objects. This wasn't their first encounter with artifacts believed to carry negative influences. The university's established protocols included many elements that aligned with the historical records Dr. Vasquez had uncovered. The vase would be stored in a controlled environment, positioned according to specific orientations, and handled with particular care. These procedures stemmed from respect for the cultural significance of the object and the specific intentions behind its creation. Perhaps most telling was the relief Michael felt after transferring the vase. I'm not convinced the vase itself caused my problems, he admitted, but I can't deny that removing it coincided with a return to normalcy. Whether that's psychological or something else, the effect was real enough. The vase remains in the university collection today, cataloged with both its artistic properties and cultural significance documented. It serves as a research object for scholars studying how communities process collective trauma through material culture, the physical manifestation of a community's attempt to control forces beyond their understanding. Michael's case highlights the territory between rational skepticism and lived experience. His engineering background gave him tools to approach the situation methodically, but also created resistance to accepting patterns that challenged his worldview. The historical context provided by Dr. Vasquez offered a framework that bridged this gap. The vase wasn't simply cursed, but intentionally created to serve a specific cultural function related to containing misfortune. This middle ground, acknowledging the vase's creation as a grief vessel, without necessarily accepting supernatural causation, allowed Michael to resolve his situation while maintaining his intellectual integrity. The university's willingness to store the vase according to historical protocols similarly acknowledges the cultural significance of these beliefs without requiring supernatural explanation.